Alright, this is RPGDad,
RPGNate.
and welcome to our weekly encounters wrap-up. So we're doing catch-up right now. We just did our recording for Acon, and now we're going to continue. We're going to talk about weeks 2 and 3 because we're not doing a ton of rooms at a time. My group right now is in the Abyssal Prisons. Where are you?
Ooze Grottos. That's
Okay.
fun.
So I've got my papers here because I'm old and I don't remember. I think he remembers what he did.
Yes.
Week 2, we went after we had gone through the vampire area. And my group, first room you get to is called the Mystic Circles. And it's basically a big trap. You walk in, you get screwed, and it starts shooting lightning bolts and stuff at everybody. Well, my group kind of panicked. There was a steel orb. You could actually get up there and do something to it. But instead, they tried to get down to the room and to the door. And I kind of made it tough for them to get through because I wanted them to figure out that orb, but they just wouldn't do it. So it was kind of amusing. They got through that. They finally got through. I made the thief do a couple of checks to actually get through that door.
Yeah.
And once they got through, nobody really got hurt too bad because everybody's making their saving throws. Then they get to the succubus vault. And if you played the previous encounter session, you would run into Pencheska, the succubus. This table only ran into her as, what was the,
It's like Nautis or something.
yeah, Natissa or something, I forget.
Natissa.
In Scourge of the Sword Coast, they had run into her as basically the prostitute. So they come to Pencheska's room, and there she is in the guise of the prostitute. Courtesan. Prostitute, courtesan. It's all the same, I don't really care. And she's there with a couple of Dread Warriors. Well, number one, the Dread Warriors there tick up the alarm for this area, for the entire dungeon. So that took care of it right there. The only thing I was nice about is I did not have Tarlvar, which that's who these Dread Warriors work through, cast his spells through them. Because he can cast through the Dread Warriors.
Wall of fire, wall of fire.
Oh my god, it would be awful. That fireball, cloud of death, whatever that's called, cloud kill. I could have murdered the room, but I didn't.
Blight.
But
Does he have blight?
I don't think so. But the hilarious thing is the paladin gets charmed by the succubus. And he turns and he's attacking the characters. The succubus is attacking. The Dread Warriors are attacking. Everything goes batshit crazy. They finally get the Dread Warriors down. The succubus, during all this, walks over and does the kiss, which will do 31 points of damage. And the paladin can't do anything about it. He's a willing subject at that time.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only save he made. Every turn he got the save for the charm, and he couldn't pass a save. The horrible thing about the succubus when she kisses him is it drains you 31 points, and your permanent hit points are drained 31 points. They don't go up.
He doesn't have the aura that gives you a plus your charisma bonus to saves, does he?
No. And he made that save, so he only lost 15 points permanently on his hit points.
No.
But the funny thing is, he still couldn't save. They finally put Pencheska down, and as far as I'm concerned, that charm doesn't go away. At that point, he's protecting her.
Yeah.
And he's standing there, no! So they're sitting there going, we're just trying to subdue him. And they're beating on him and beating on him and beating on him until he finally goes down. It was hilarious. And the table actually had a ton of fun with this, just beating on the paladin because he always does such stupid stuff sometimes at the table.
Yeah.
As the barbarian, he was awful the one season. He just would run in and get killed, and they're always healing him. This time he's actually playing pretty well, but he's just like, why do I have to keep attacking the party? Because you're charmed. The succubus did you because they figure you're the big boom in the room.
Yeah.
And it was just,
You should have had her
hilarious.
use some spells.
So they got done there. They picked up some stuff. Keys and all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And they moved to the next room, which they finished off real quick, which was the elemental furnace. And the bonus in this room was there's a fire elemental in there. And if you release him so he can leave this room, whoever releases him, it's kind of like having an extra guy who will help the person that released him. So the mage kind of got a fire elemental pet that would follow her through a large portion of this.
Yes.
And so we ended up there. The fire elemental room, the elemental furnace was bad because just being in there, they're all taking heat damage constantly. They got out of there quick, moved to the next room.
Yeah.
So what happened with yours?
We started off in, I'm not sure what it was called. It was like a barracks, and it was grottos. But there were, I think, 3 red wizards and 5 apprentices, Sand apprentices.
Oh, what I went through is week 2. I've still got a little bit of week 3 to do.
This is week 2. So they start going in and try to talk to them, and they're the red wizards, and unless they're also red wizards, they're going to kill them. So that's what they tried. And the first thing I do is cast Blight on the Barbarian.
Okay.
Blight does 8d8 necrotic damage. And he failed his save. He took like 40 damage. He was...
Hurt.
Luckily, I also figured out that he does not have double his hit points when he's raging. I do not know where the fuck he got that from. So I'm kind of annoyed, and I've got to fix that.
Well, you've got your rules lawyers at the table. He's one of them who tries to game the system.
Yeah.
And he must have misread something.
It's
but
double your level. How do you misread that?
well, you just need to correct it, and he'll be unhappy, and that'll be too bad.
Yeah, and I'll be able to kill him. He's taking a lot more damage than he actually thinks he has.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to write
Well, just from that point forward, from this point forward, you'll correct it, and you can't pile damage on that's happened before at this point. But you move on with it and say, look, I even misunderstood the rule. I reread it. This is what it says.
Well, I didn't read the rule.
Well, that's what you're going to say. I misunderstood it too. Don't go in and dickify it. Just, I misunderstood it too, and this is really what it says, so I'm not going to penalize you because you would be dead right now.
No,
You probably would.
he hasn't hit half his hit points yet.
But I would say I'm not going to penalize you and bang you down, but from this point forward, this is the rule, and that's what you get to do.
Yeah. So, I used Blight on a lot of people, and I nearly killed a ranger in this room. And that was fun. And then, the best part was...
And he can say that because we're allowed to kill people in this. My rule of no TPKs doesn't stand for this season.
Yeah. But I Ray of Enfeeblement him. And that makes it so that your weakens, which in this means you do a maximum of 1 damage per attack. He did 3 attacks and rolled maximum damage on every single one.
And did 1.
And yeah, and he had his extra die added in, and he was asking me if it did 2 damage. It did 1 damage.
Nope. It's just like, just don't even attack. Go sit in the corner because you're useless right now.
So he's sitting there, spinning around all awesome, attacking all 3 orcs, and then they have little paper cuts on their arms.
Exactly. Well, paper cuts can be annoying, but...
They don't kill you.
No.
So they wiped this room out, and he was made fun of for the rest of the night.
As they should be.
Yes. And they head into the next room, which has a blade, or an arc of blades or something like that. It's like a gate where skeletons were walking over and throwing pigs into it, and then blades were coming out and grinding them down. And
It's pretty
putting
gruesome.
them into buckets. Yeah. They're making meal or something. I don't know. But they go into there, they see that, and they're offended by the fact that they're grinding pigs up or something. I don't know.
They don't eat pork, I guess.
No. So, next time, the next room was done in week 3. I was thinking of whether it was, anyways, there were 2 red wizards in here and 2 Than apprentices along with a bunch of skeletons. So we had a wizard in the group at the time, so he fireballs and he wipes out all the skeletons like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they focus on the red wizards because they figured out they have blight and blight's mean. So they kill them, and then the Sand apprentices just die.
So that was the end of your week 2?
Yeah. I tried to convince them to go through the gate. It does like 10d10 or something like that.
Yeah, don't do that.
That would be fine.
So my group in week 3, they get to the summoning chamber. And this is a fun room. There are a bunch of guards, more dread warriors, and there's all these summoning circles. 4 of them are active. You've got a Hezru, 4 Quasits, a Vrak, and 10 mains.
Hezru?
Yeah. It's basically a pit fiend. So they come in, they start doing some battle. One of them gets a bright idea, which actually does work, to go over and try to disrupt one of the summoning circles. And he picks the one with the Hezru. And he goes and scrapes on the circle to break it. And the Hezru's able to get out. The whole time, some of these are saying, if you let us out, we'll help the demons.
Yeah.
And they're sincere, they'll help, because they freaking hate these red wizards.
Demons will tell the truth. It's just a lot of the times...
In the end, they'll screw you. But I played it, they told the truth. They let the one guy out. And the bad thing is the guy that they let out has a poison cloud, and anybody within 10 feet, no matter what, is getting banged by it. And they're like, oh, damn, is he attacking us? I'm like, no, it's just an aura. You let the wrong guy out.
So they're just staying.
So they're getting poisoned and running away from this stinky demon, and they wipe out this room. So the demon then goes and he starts releasing the other demons in the room. And I let it go that they're peaceful with them because they let them go, they didn't attack the demons, and they were fine. Now again, this bumps the alert level up.
Well, the fact that
there were more of those dread warriors, so that put us at 3. Now,
we're at 4 right now, aren't we?
Yeah, we should be at 4, which is not a good thing. They leave this one, and it kind of comes to an intersection. It's like a cross. They use the old rule, always go left, which was a bad idea because that's a dead end with a trap. The minute you open the door, this shadow comes out, it's total blackness, and you're getting nailed in there and stunned.
Does that summon is it an extra?
It doesn't summon anything. It's just horrible. And it took like 4 turns for the thief who kept getting stunned to realize, close the door. And then the trap goes away and everybody's fine. But they're all taking necrotic damage and all this stuff throughout the thing. It's just like, what do? Well, I leave the area. Well, all right, it's still up. I go in to pull somebody out. All right, roll your save. Now you're stunned. Damn. It was hilarious. And they finally figured out, close the damn door, and everybody was fine. Now here's where the fun came in. The next room is Tarlvar, the Lich. There's Tarlvar, 4 Dread Warriors. They go in there, and I was nice, because I'm still trying not to TPK. I tried to put 1 or 2 characters down, which I did. I wasn't doing Cloud Kill and all this other stuff. And the battle actually ended at the end of Session 3. But as it ended, the thief gets the bright idea to run back and say, hey, there are red wizards in here in the demon room. So I rolled to see who was still in the demon room randomly. And I got the Vrak and the Hezru. So
now they're taking Hezru damage?
At the end of that, they were on the way back down to Tarlvar's quarters. And that's where we left off. And I'll talk about week 4 with that, because that took most of week 4.
Yeah.
So what did you have in week 3?
Week 3 we had the Black Ooze Pit. It was one of the Ooze Grottos. And there was like a massive black pudding lake or something like that. And when they walk in, there's a red wizard and 2 Thayan apprentices sitting there poking the Black Ooze with ooze prods. So they go up and they're talking to them, and the red wizards realize they're not red wizards because they say something about them not being red wizards. And then the fighter walks up next to the red wizard, who then casts Blight on him. They just used a lot of Blight.
Yeah.
Because that's an awesome spell. And then that initiated combat. So once the...
But what about the oozes?
Well, once the ooze prods were not being used on the ooze, which caused the ooze to start flipping out. After 2 rounds, a black pudding comes out. Then after another 2 rounds, another black pudding comes out. Then after another 2 rounds, another black.
Well, how many black puddings did you end up with?
The maximum is 3.
Okay, and
so
did you have all 3?
Yes, because I stayed in the room for no apparent reason.
And what happened?
First one, they split him and they break weapons on him.
Yeah, but who started the problem? Wasn't it your dual-wielding ranger?
That wasn't this one.
Okay.
That was a different one. But that was the same ranger, but it wasn't this encounter that he started a big problem. This one, he was using a bladed weapon, but he flipped out to a short sword and another piercing weapon.
Now, had they realized that using magic weapons was okay on these things at the time, or were they
the
destroying
barbarian
their weapons?
did, but the fighter had not. So the barbarian had a magic weapon.
They had their magic weapons in reserve. They were like, I'm not messing them up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fighter wouldn't have been done doing anything anyways, since it's slashing damage. and the thing's immune to slashing damage. It would have just been his weapon wasn't being broken.
Yeah.
He would just be splitting them and making more.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I think these guys were huges, so they split to large and then lesser. And they fully split. They got him into the full split, and it was fun, because they have shit tons of...
Little oozes,
Yeah.
and you're looking for little minis to put all over the place.
Oh, yeah. So, they get them all broken down, and they finally kill them, because they're at like 10 hit points ooze. And then the other one comes out right as that one's dying. And at this point, they get the right idea of picking up the ooze prod and start poking the ooze, which does nothing.
Yeah.
So they, like, 3 of them waste a turn to pick up one of the ooze prods and start poking the ooze.
And do nothing.
Yeah. I just made it so it broke the ooze because the red wizards had magic stuff that made it so it didn't break. So a black pudding pops up right next to one of the people with the ooze prod and starts attacking her. And then they kill this one relatively fast because they have only that on the board. They had knocked one Than apprentice out. They killed the red wizard, who was the higher up and would have done more because the barbarian was being stupid. And then once they had killed the final black pudding, or the second black pudding, the final black pudding came out and they were already almost out of the room, so they just shoot it to death.
So did they get out of the room before they killed all of them, or they just bailed?
They killed all of them, and then they leave and they question the Than apprentice. After that, they go south through another ooze spawning pit thing into the White Maw.
And then that was your next week.
No, White Maw was that week.
Alright, well, we'll have to talk about that on the next video. So, that's it for this one. We'll finish up with the White Maw in the next one and then talk about week 4.
Okay.
So, thanks for watching. See you next time.
If you enjoyed the video, please like, favorite, and subscribe, and bye.
Bye.